mean, it was bizarre.
The head waitress, I think she just thought she was a little over smart.
The 30 ml pour of alcohol is never 30 ml.
At 7 o'clock, I get a call in the morning. Where are you?
Cue White Lotus music.
You know what they say. Desperate times call for.
Spilling the tea on the hotel industry.
From nightmare guests to the behind the scenes chaos.
If you've ever worked in hospitality or just been that guest, this one's for you.
This
is
is Desperate Times. Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode of Desperate Times. I'm Varun.
And I'm Sakshi.
And this episode is going to be extremely exciting for us because this is kind of stemming from a lot of personal experiences that we've had.
Personal experience or personal trauma?
Oof, yeah, we can discuss which one of those two is going to be, but let's see. I feel like this is going to be fun. For if you've been a part of the hotels in any way, you're going to relate to this in a lot of ways. And if you've not been a part of the hotels, or if you've just been at the hotels as a guest, this is going to be entertaining for you because this is a side that you don't get to see. What we're hoping to do with this, absolutely the scoop, absolutely. What we're hoping to do with this episode is, if you're someone, say for example, who's looking forward to getting into the hotel industry, you might at least get get an understanding of what the other side of it is, because Sakshi and I at some point in time thought about the glitz and glamour. Sakshi, was it similar for you?
I think so, because it was like, oh my god, I get to eat nice food. Oh my god, I get to stay in good hotels. But that doesn't happen until much later. And for that, you have to stick it out in the industry, which a lot of us did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is always the good food. We do experience a little bit of it here and there, and that's what something that we're going to save for the next episode. But for this episode, we want you to stick around till the end because we have some very exciting stuff planned. We have something that you should look forward to, someone that you should look forward to, maybe I say that. And also we have a small game that we've planned to kind of make this a little more entertaining and engaging for you as well. Why this episode is also fun is because we're now in a time wherein we've all been watching The White Lotus and we see the kind of dramatic shit that actually goes down behind the hotel. So actually,
Cue
have you
White
also been
Lotus
watching?
music.
Yeah, we don't want to get demonetized. but
If only.
but yeah, The White Lotus is extremely entertaining. Sakshi, have you seen it? Has your experience been even closely as wild?
I don't think it's been closely related to the White Lotus scenes that have happened. Like season 1, season 2, great. Season 3, okay. But as you stay in the industry, you get to see more things. And we didn't actually stick around to experience that level of shit going down. So I wouldn't say similar experiences, but some other experiences for sure.
I do actually have similar experiences,
Oh,
which
wait,
I'll
what?
get into. Yeah. It does get a
Wow.
little dramatic up there. Pivoting from The White Lotus, I feel like one thing that the show harped on is the fact that money plays a big role in how people behave. But being a part of the hotel industry, I can tell you, if you work in hotel industry, money does not play a big part. Am I
Nope.
right, Sakshi?
Not at all. And in fact, the vocational training that we've been talking about, the industrial training, a lot of us who worked in 5-star hotels in Mumbai were getting paid 1,000 Indian rupees per month. That's it.
Let's just give them a quick equivalent of what that is in, let's say, the dollar amount for Canada. That might be somewhere close to, I'd say, less than $50. Less than $50. Less than
For a
$50 is
month.
what.
And that is a minimum 9 hours of work every day. You got only 6 offs in a month. Those 9 hours have extended to a lot more as well, which I have more details about. That's a whole story that I want to tell y'all.
I will say my experience was slightly different from yours in some ways. Having done my industrial training in Dubai, I was paid a little more. I was given, if you were given 1,000 rupees, I was given 1,000 dirhams. Considerably a lot more than what you were getting paid, but not enough to suffice in the least.
And more than that, the other thing is that if you were sick during these training periods, they did not pay you for them. They cut your pay for that particular day. So if you're sick, forget about the money because you didn't show up to work, so you're not getting paid.
Yeah, but talking about showing up to work, I feel like I had one experience which, sure, some people might say that it may not be as dramatic, but this one time, this one manager that I had, and this was the banquets, and they really gave me a tough time, man. It was.
Banquets are the worst.
Did they make you also do 12 hours?
So not me personally. I have done a little over 12 hours in the banquets, but I know people who've done 16, 17 hours in the banquets, and I've done those hours in some other departments, but Let's go back
Hmm.
to you and that banquet story that you were sharing.
Yeah, I'll tell you how bad it was for me, and it was especially worse because they did this for my birthday.
Oh my
I don't think you
god.
know this
I
because
think
we
I
didn't
know
really
a
speak
little
about.
bit.
Do you?
Because
Do
I
you?
remember
Okay,
I
let's see.
was
Let's see.
trying to call you to wish you on your birthday, and there was a 3 hour difference between India and Dubai. And
Yeah,
I remember you did not pick up the phone or anything because you were in a bad mood because of
I
work.
was not just in a bad mood, but there was a lot going on that day.
Mm.
So to set context to the story, here's how it went. I think almost a week before I even got posted into banquets, I had already put in the request because I knew my birthday was landing somewhere in the middle of the week, and we were doing banquets for a very short amount of time. It was just about like 10, 12 days of banquets that we had as a part of our training. And what happened is I put in a request saying, "Hey, my birthday is on so and so day. I want to leave. Can you please approve it in advance?" And I was constantly faced with a, yeah, we'll think about it, we'll
Oh
figure
no.
it out, let's see what can happen
They
about
forget
it.
about it. Who are we? We're like the lowest in the food chain.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I then kind of kept following up, and what was funnier there is that obviously the story leading into it, I did not get my leave, but it only got worse from there on. I requested for the leave, didn't get it. That day I worked from, let's say, I think 8 a.m. to almost 9 p.m. Mind you, this is through the birthday, this is the
Oh
day of the
gosh.
birthday. 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And at 9 p.m. is when the manager goes like, hey, you know what? I think you can be done for the day. You can go now. Have a fun birthday.
That is so rude on his part. Like, go have a fun birthday. Like, what? I've spent my whole birthday in the banquet, and now you're saying the audacity is just mind boggling to me.
Honestly, that's what my reaction should have been. But the bar is set so low
Yeah,
that even with them
it's
letting me
unfortunate.
go at 9 p.m., my brain told me, you know what?
Be
These
grateful.
guys are being nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, these guys are being nice to me. They're letting me go off for these last
yeah.
3 hours. At least they're letting me enjoy a little bit of my birthday that's left. And
No,
his leaving statement to me on that day was, go have a good birthday and catch the bus tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. He means 5 a.m.
You know what? That's the mistake I made. Because when he said 5 o'clock, I
He
know
meant
that banquets
5 p.m.
often have more evening shifts where I
Right,
thought he meant 5 p.m. and I was getting the night to enjoy myself.
but you
So I
weren't.
went over to like a relative's place. I slept over there, had a good time. At 7 o'clock, I get a call in the morning.
Oh my fucking
Where are
god.
you? And
No
me
way.
in my sleep, I go, yeah, did you not say 5 o'clock bus? You meant 5 p.m., right?
Oh
And he
god.
says, no, I meant 5 a.m. You
Well, he
need to
should
be
have
on shift,
clarified
right?
then. It's his fault.
Honestly, yeah, but imagine what a dick move it was on their part to be like,
Yeah,
yeah,
go off at
no,
9 p.m. and come at 5 a.m. That's like less than 12 hours. Technically, that shouldn't be the case by law, but it doesn't matter because laws
while
don't apply.
it, yeah, they don't. For you, it's more important that after screwing your birthday up, you come in the next morning to wipe the glasses because there are other guests who want to be served in the morning. So that's
Wow.
what. If you're going in a hotel, first of all, be super nice to the people over there because those people and people like me have seen
Yeah.
shit and have had really bad days. But talking about people being nice, actually, do you have any stories about any guests who were not nice?
Oh, yeah, plenty. There are so many stories where guests haven't been nice at all, and it's just unfortunate because, in the end,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this righteousness, there's this privilege that shines through. There was this one guest, and this was during my catering sales days. So I had to
Okay.
meet with a lot of potential clients who wanted to host events at the hotel. But these
Mm-hmm.
people, so there were A conferences, which was corporate, which was easier to handle because they had the budgets and they wouldn't bargain with you. But then these social
Correct.
events that were like, say, kiddie parties or engagement parties or child's birthday, all of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
people negotiated hard. And
Of course.
I was a newbie. They knew that because these people who've been doing these events with these hotels, they recognize the stuff. They weren't the nicest, and they were like, "Oh, you know what? Let's just speak to your manager because like you don't know
Mm-hmm.
shit." But my manager, my director, wanted me to actually go there and learn how to speak to that client and how to get the deal done because every state, every city has like different kind of people. The way you handle them is different. The way you speak to them
But
is
good on your
different.
manager. He was giving you an. I think he was just trying to give you an opportunity. I guess.
Yeah, my director was just trying to give me that opportunity, but at the same time, some of these guests were super rude because most of them would be men who would come to do that deal because they think that their women can't do it. And in front of them sits
hmm
a woman who is calling all the shots.
Is there
So
something that they said that pissed you off?
they just disrespectful. They just, that tone, the way they speak, the way they look at you even is just not nice. And I
Oof.
notice all of these things. Like I cannot let these slide. But at that point, obviously you can't say anything. You're new, you don't know the place, and you want to be
hmm
careful. So
Oof.
yeah.
That is definitely not a fun experience. But I this is I don't want to one up you here, but I have stories where people actually faced a little worse than that also. This is not a personal story for me, but what happened with another friend or a co-intern of mine is that she was directly faced with a guest inappropriately touching her,
What?
which yeah,
Oh
guests
my
as
god.
you mentioned already that they think they're extremely privileged and they
Yeah,
can just get away with
that's
whatever,
so
do
wrong.
whatever. Yeah, so this friend of mine was in, I think, probably going to the guest room for like delivering something to the room for
Wow.
in-room dining or something. And she was faced with a guest inappropriately kind of touching
Oh
her.
my god.
And she tried taking this to her manager. The laws in Dubai are extremely strict with
Yeah, I would
anything like that.
imagine.
So, had this been India, we know that the
Over.
hotel managers would
Yeah.
just completely
Brush it
brush it
off.
off. This would just,
Definitely.
it would just go under the rug and never come
Mm-hmm.
up as a story ever again. But she was still in a position where the manager asked her if she would want to report this to the police and action could have been taken.
Yeah.
um, Unfortunately, much like what
Decided.
you said,
Yeah.
when you were new to the city, when new to everything in that hotel,
Yeah.
and uh, we were in a situation where I think this happened towards the last 1 week of
Oh
our
wow.
internship.
What are the
So we
odds?
were kind of we were on our way out of there, man.
Yeah.
And
You don't want
what
that.
she was we don't want that, and that's exactly what she unfortunately was told. While she was fully given the option to report it,
Mm-hmm.
she was told that, hey, we can make a report, but if we're making a police report out of this, you have to fly out next week. Are you sure you want to take action right now, because this might have you caught in this country for longer?
They gave her an option but didn't give her an option basically.
Yeah, in some ways it was, the ball was still in her court, but
Only
in
in
there was
like
just
only to say that the ball was in her court, not
yeah.
actually in her court. I mean, think about it.
But all of this aside, I feel like this shouldn't happen.
Not at
Nobody
all.
should be faced with anything like that.
Not at
Everyone's
all.
just there doing their job. So, for anyone who's even thinking about getting into the hotel industry, I feel like you need to at least mentally prepare yourself for shit like this to also happen, because it's not always going to be fun.
Well, you said that that is not fun, and I completely agree that no one should be going through that at all. The
hmm
other non fun aspect of working in the hotel for me, this is like a personal experience. While you spoke about
hmm
banquets working 16 hours, I actually worked in the housekeeping department for this one particular day from
Okay.
7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, and
What? Why?
because
What happened? Who took the call on this?
we weren't informed about it, first of all. Like, so there are full-time
Okay.
employees, and then there are us trainees that tag team with the full-time employees to support them. So I was working in the
Okay.
mini bar that day, which is fairly easy. You basically have to just deliver fruit platters when guests request them, and this is in a big
Fair.
five-star hotel in Mumbai. This is how they work their mini bar department. But that one particular day that we were scheduled in there was a dry day the next day. So when there's
Okay.
a dry day the next day, the policy calls for taking out all the alcohol from the rooms, which is basically where the minibar,
Fair.
like that's one of the
hmm
core duties of minibar. Now, obviously, you don't do this every day, but because there was a dry day, we had to take out all the alcohol from 500 plus rooms and some 100 apartments
Okay.
during our shift, which is 7 to 4:30. That was our official shift timing, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Two of us,
Too
two of
many numbers, too much math, but I'm going with the drift.
the two girls, we were supposed to take out. like alcohol from all these rooms. But what happened is we were working through the day. We're like, okay, we'll get through. We took our lunch about, I think, 1 o'clock. That's when everyone in that department would take lunch. And then there's a tea break that happens around 4 o'clock. But because you're leaving at 4:30, we were like, okay, we'll just power through the tea break and not take
Mm-hmm.
it, and we'll work. We'll finish it up. We thought we would still be
Bad decision.
right, very bad. We thought we would still be able to leave at 4:30 because that is what our shift timing was. But
Mm-hmm.
then this full-time employee that was supposed to show up for their shift did not show up, possibly because they knew they would have
Okay.
to work those mini bars and empty them out, and they didn't want to do it. And we were very annoyed because we weren't informed that we would have to stay. We weren't told how long it would take. We weren't told when we could go home. We can't have our
Mm-hmm.
phones with us while we're working. So our phones are in the lockers. Our parents don't know what's happening. And we're just, what, 20 years old, 19 years old. And this is literally the
Oof.
first gig that we're doing. So our parents are also worried. And we've been
Mm-hmm.
awake since before 7 a.m. because the shift starts at 7 a.m. So you have to reach before.
Yeah, it's got to have been at least 5 a.m.,
Correct.
I guess.
When these guys are then saying that, oh, you know what? You don't get to go home yet. We have to empty out all the rooms because this one person did not show up.
I don't
And
understand how hotel people just think that they're in a position to tell you you don't get to go home yet.
it, free labor. It was
It's
almost like
ridiculous.
free labor. They cannot do anything. They need this to complete their course. So take advantage of them. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thoroughly annoyed. I was very tired. I was cranky because we didn't take that tea break. So we didn't eat anything since 1 p.m. And it was 6 o'clock around that time that we get to know that we don't know when we are going home. So then I go to the HR,
Uh,
which luckily for me hadn't left yet.
oh, so I did go to the HR.
We did, but that's the other thing. She did not help a lot. And when I
Yeah,
said
of course.
I am frustrated, she said frustrated is such a big word. How can you use it? Rather than giving me a time of when I can go home or talk to the department that was making me go through this, because the HR was responsible for us trainees, she just said, how
Okay.
can you use the word frustrated? And she said, okay, why don't you go take a break? Because we told her that, we didn't even take a break and we worked through it because
Mm-hmm.
we were thinking that we would be able to go home. So she said, okay, why don't you all go take a half an hour break? Guess what? She went home.
But to begin with, a break is not a solution to a messed up day. A break is going to do nothing. In fact, if anything, in that situation, had I been you, I would have been like, I'm sorry, I don't want to break you. That's going to make me stay here for longer and I don't want to be here anymore.
They did not listen to any of that. The next shift that came was around,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, was that 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? They were basically that overnight shift that got done in the middle of the night. And when they
Mm-hmm.
got to know that we'd been here since 7 a.m., they were trainees like us. They said, leave this to us. We will work on it now. Y'all go home. And the next day, we were supposed to work a 7 a.m. shift, which I did not go for. I'm like, I am not
I mean,
going.
I'm glad you didn't.
I'm like,
I'm
I don't
glad you
care. I
didn't.
am not going. My feet were sore. I was tired. I think I probably ended up with a fever the next day.
I think sometimes hotels and people working in hotels just don't understand what a real burnout is and how even a single day can cause a complete burnout,
Oh my god,
honestly.
that was it. I was done with that department that day. And there's worse
Oof.
things that happen in housekeeping. I mean, this is just unfortunate that I happened to work on a dry day.
But talking about dry day, I feel like I have one fun story that's not about being dry at all, actually. This is a little bit of a sneaky story that people working at hotels can do. So if you've been a
Mm-hmm.
guest, I feel like you got to be careful about this, guys.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, because what happened is, and let me start with this. Sakshi, how well do you know your wines?
I think I know them fairly well. I knew them better when you were working.
But if I gave you two different wines, you would still be able to tell that they're starkly different wines if they are, right? Like if I switched up your bottle.
Oh, I mean, if someone's too drunk, I get they won't be able to realize that.
And that's exactly what was happening.
Oh
So,
gosh.
so we had this one situation wherein there was a couple of guests who came in at the hotel this one time,
Ah,
and the head waitress, I think she just thought she was a little over smart with the situation,
I see.
wherein what happened was that these guests came in, ordered one bottle of wine, ordered another,
Uh-huh.
and then they wanted us to repeat the same bottle
Right.
again. We ran out of inventory.
Oh,
we
what?
didn't have the same we didn't have the same bottle of wine. We had only two left of it,
Mm-hmm.
and she already went to the table and committed to them that she's going to get them a third bottle of wine. instead of actually going back to them
Yeah,
and being like,
we don't
"Hey
have it.
guys,
Simple.
we don't have that, but I can really offer you another one."
Yeah,
She came to the back and she handed me a completely different bottle of wine, and goes, "Hey, you know what? Serve them this." And I
they
was
won't
like,
know.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. What do you mean serve them this?
Yeah.
And she goes like, yeah, they're too drunk. They don't know which wine we've served them already. Just go serve it to them anyway, and we'll
Uh,
bill them for the first bottle and the same as
I
the first
guess
bottle.
when you work long enough, you know that you can play tricks like these.
But that's not great, right?
I
And this
mean,
is the
that's
kind
not
of
a great
sneaky
work
shit that
ethic,
it's not great work ethic at all. So
but it
for
happens.
some, it does happen, and it happens more often than
Oh
you
yeah.
think. Because me as an intern, I was just there for 4 months, and I was at that particular restaurant for 3 weeks. So
Mm.
imagine how often similar situations might happen when hotel people are actually sneaking up on you and doing shit that you have no idea about.
Well,
And this kind of lends me to one more thing. But have you done something similar? Have you seen something similar?
so I haven't done anything similar, but I know for a fact that the 30 ml pour of alcohol is
Mm-hmm.
never 30 ml. The 60 ml pour of alcohol is never 60 ml. The wine
Mm-hmm.
that's supposed to be 6 hours is not 6 hours. They do not
I
serve
want to jump in. Also, I have been guilty of this. The Diet Coke that you drink is not necessarily always
Diet
Diet Coke.
Coke. Some people know though because they drink it and they know the taste difference. Like even with alcohol, like if it's too diluted, you taste and you know that it's not up to
Mm-hmm.
that level. And that lends to this story that I have from my
Mm-hmm.
IT days, the industrial training days. I did
Okay.
not experience this directly, but I know people who worked in that restaurant. It was called the Bar. They were underserving alcohol. So there's this yearly check from a outside agency where they come and check the stock of
Mm-hmm.
alcohol that you have, because they're very strict about like the inventory of the alcohol in the hotel. For that particular inventory that we were there in the hotel, they had
Mm-hmm.
surplus bottles of technically sold alcohol. So they had sold this
Okay.
on paper. They shouldn't have that extra alcohol that they did in inventory,
Yeah, they shouldn't.
but they did because they did not pour the actual amount. And
And what were they gonna do with it?
so here's the thing, they kept it. And how it's a big property. So these audits happen through like different sections of the hotel, right? They kept
Mm-hmm.
moving the bottles. They
Oh,
played the game and they kept moving the bottles from one portion of the hotel to another, and just like it's like, okay, if the auditor is in that area, I'm gonna move it to this area. So every day until this audit
this
was
is
complete, the
dramatic.
alcohol was moved around in the hotel. They've hidden it in places that you can't even think about, where alcohol shouldn't be. And
God
this is what
damn.
happens. Like I don't know why, because it's paid already. So who's getting this alcohol in in the end? Like, is this the managers? Is it
Yeah.
the people who work those departments? I have no idea. But this is the lens that they go to.
Yeah, I mean, unethical stuff like that just
Oh yeah.
happens in hotels so often. I have one story that's almost scandalous in terms
Ooh.
of being unethical. What used to happen at this hotel for us is that, and this was from when I was working with the front desk for about, say, 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Every department that I did was almost like 2 to 3 weeks of every little bit to get a taste of the whole hotel. And when we were at the front desk, there would be times when guests would walk in with somebody as looking as technically their significant other,
Ah. Oh yes.
so to say. But what used to happen from time to time is that while we were at the front desk, and how it works is everyone coming to the front desk gets ID'd, right? If you're checking in at the hotel,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
walking into a room,
Yeah.
they take your IDs, they scan it, and what you don't know is a copy of those IDs, or maybe you know this, is that a copy of those IDs go to the government as well.
Oh yes.
So there are proper records maintained for any single person who comes into the hotel for possibly security reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And in Dubai, uh, giving you a little more context ahead of the story, in Dubai, the laws for any kind of sex work or sex trafficking are extremely
Yeah.
strict. So
Definitely.
there have been times when I have been at the front desk and a guest has walked in with somebody who possibly seems like an escort. And at that point in time, this had happened so often
Yeah.
that front office managers kind of
Get
could
used to it.
almost see, and they could see and tell who
Yeah.
when the situation is kind of coming up, much like how I think most bartenders know when someone's
Yeah.
not of legal age. Similarly, this is what we would see at the front desk. And I think there was this one time when I was asked to scan IDs, and I went back to the Xerox machine to like put the IDs in there and scan them myself. And after you scan them, there's a procedure where you just go on the laptop and you kind of just update them onto the on the guest profile and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, as I was in the process of scanning the IDs, I had one of the hotel front office managers walk up to me being like, "Yeah, so this ID that you just scanned, delete it."
What?
And yeah, so anyone who came in there who was suspected to be a
I
plus one but
see.
not legal,
Oh my
their
god.
IDs were removed from the
Wow.
system to make sure that the hotel does not fall into any legal
And that's
trouble
so
at that
unsafe
point in time.
for that person because there's no record of them staying at the hotel. So, God forbid if something were to go down, that person has no proof of anything.
Yep. But I mean, it's extremely scandalous, the kind of stuff you see at hotels, even, man. It's so bad.
That actually reminds me of this one incident, like similar to yours in
Mm-hmm.
Mumbai, Varun, where there was
Okay.
this one guest. I don't remember the order exactly, but basically he had booked two rooms. One with his
Okay.
significant other, who he was married to, and another
Okay.
which was not his partner.
In the same hotel.
In the same hotel, and he had the guts to check in one after the other. So I don't remember who was first, but I remember very well that it was one after the other because I was at the front desk at the time, and he had checked
Mm.
in with this one person, and then
Okay.
he'd come back and then checked in with that other person, and I'm like, what just happened?
I'm watching too much White Lotus. For me, this may I'm suspecting this could be a Gary situation for anyone who's watched White Lotus season 3. My brain just goes straight to that.
I mean, it was
But what happened? What
bizarre.
happened?
It was just that I didn't know what was happening, and then like the people working there who were regulars, they're like, this guy's just come back because I used to scan the IDs. I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I'm scanning this ID for a second time because the system picks it up. Like if the guest is
Yeah,
visited the hotel before, you scan it, their profile exists on the system.
correct.
So his profile came up automatically, and I'm like, oh yeah, he is in this room already, and now he's going into this room, but not with the same surname.
Anything that you do at a hotel basically does not go unseen, and all of this becomes in some way juice for us to kind
Mm-hmm.
of create this content for you right now, that is if you're watching or listening on whichever platform that you are. But moving from the juice, we have an interesting segment planned for you in this episode. We're going to be doing a segment of two truths and one lie. Sakshi goes once, I go a second time, and what we're going to be doing is, if we get it right, we're in the clear. But if we get it wrong, we're going to be taking a shot of lime juice for you, just to make this a little more fun, a little more interesting. So, yeah, I think let's get into it. Okay, so I'll go first with my two truths, one lie. And
Okay.
anyone who's watching, feel free to play along, comment down below what you
Mm-hmm.
guess and if you were right or if you were wrong. A little bit of a disclaimer. So, these are three guest room stories of when me or a fellow intern has entered the room and seen something in particular. First statement: I walked into a guest room hotel suite and saw popcorn fallen all over the floor, crumbs of popcorn through the entire suite.
Hmm. Okay.
I walked into a guest room after they've checked out and saw a giant pile of shit in the bidet.
Okay.
And I walked into a guest room and saw a residue of drugs at the table.
Uh, I feel like the bidet is very much doable because what if someone didn't know how to use it? So that's very doable. Like people can do
Okay.
nasty shit, literally. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I feel like the drug thing is a little questionable because Dubai is pretty strict with its laws, but at the same time, I mean, in the hotels, drugs, it's very common. So, but then the popcorn thing too, like that could also be a thing where there's popcorn all over the floor. But I'm gonna say that one's a
Mm-hmm.
lie.
Which one are you saying?
The popcorn.
You are incorrect, Sakshi.
Oh
It's
my
time for you to take
god!
that shot, and I'll walk you
Ah!
through these stories.
Okay, wait. I'm taking the shot.
But before you
Wait,
do, I'll
what?
tell you which one
Okay.
is the lie.
Okay, tell me.
Uh, as you guessed right, drugs
Drugs?
in the way. It's unlikely to happen, but
Oh
the other two
shit.
did happen. Take your shot, and I'll get into the story.
Okay. Um, that was so bad.
I'm hoping I don't have to face what you did, and I hope I get mine right. But
Oh my god. Yeah, it's
Are you
sweet,
okay?
but it has a sweet aftertaste, which is fine. But to whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna put some lip gloss and call it a day.
Okay. Coming to my
Uh
stories,
huh.
the first one is definitely true. This was a family of, I think, four guests that were in, and they were there
With
with
children.
kids. And I
Yeah.
walked with kids, and I walked into the room, and there was popcorn in every single corner of the room,
Wow.
all over the floor. And when I'm saying it was not just to the ends of the room, these
Mm-hmm.
are kids, they're going to throw it
Yeah.
everywhere.
They
So
had a
there was
popcorn
literally
fight,
popcorn
basically.
all over the floor through
Wow.
the entire suite. It's not just a room, it was a suite. And it
Damn.
was terrible to just walk in there to see it
Oh,
that dirty because at the end of the day, it comes on to us as hotel staff to kind of clean it.
yep, yep. And
Guests are
it's
not
not
going to do anything
nice.
about it.
No, they're like, oh, I paid for
Not
this shit.
fun at all. Not fun at all. I've even had guests who have been filthy enough to kind of eat a certain fruit with a seed and then directly remove the seed and put it on the tablecloth.
Wait,
The plate was
what?
right there. The plate is right there. They put it on the tablecloth instead
Again,
and
I
cause
paid
us
for this shit.
strugglers. Yeah, and talking about paid for this shit, clearly someone
Shit.
else thought that they paid to take a shit in the bidet. This
Yeah,
was not
yeah.
my experience, but I do know of another
Oh my
co-intern who
god.
walked into a guest room after the guests checked out. There was a giant pile of shit
God.
in the bidet that, and she
Ugh.
just yeeted herself out of the room immediately.
Did they have that's horrible. God. People are just like not civil and can't use their brain.
Nope, nope.
Ugh.
But the drug thing didn't happen, so it
Yeah,
got
that
you to
makes
take a shot
sense.
at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. I should have stuck with my first instinct where I thought that the drug
You
thing was
should have. You were
impossible in
on to
Dubai.
something. You were on to
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Well, oh well. Doubted myself, per usual.
Mm-hmm. But let's
uh,
see. I'm up now.
all right. So I don't have like a segment like you do with guest rooms. I'll throw random situations at you, and then you tell me which
Works.
one's the lie. We were moving furniture from different guest rooms to one guest room, and a piece of furniture fell on my leg, and I had to go to the
Oof.
doctor and get MRI done.
Oh, fuck.
So that's one.
Okay.
The second one is that I had something from the buffet at one of the restaurants, which is pretty common.
Okay.
Everyone does it. But because I was a
Everywhere.
trainee, the manager saw me and made me pay 1500 Indian
What?
rupees for
Okay.
eating from the buffet. And the third one
Hmm.
is that I stole a
Mm-hmm.
piece of memorabilia from the hotel as a keepsake,
Mm-hmm.
as a memory. So now you have to guess which one's a lie.
Oof. Okay. You stole a piece of memorabilia, piece of furniture fell on your leg, and you ate from the buffet.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I had to pay for it, the full price.
Gotcha. Based on those details, I feel like the second one is a truth statement because you gave me enough and more information in there to believe you. But if you're tricking me, you've got it on point.
Hmm.
A piece of furniture fell on your leg and you had to get an MRI. I believe that may be true as
Hmm.
well. I feel like you did not steal a piece of memorabilia from the hotel as a keepsake. But if you did, I'm interested to know what it was. Tell me, was I right?
Yeah, you were right.
Yes,
So,
I don't have to take the shot.
oh
I don't
my
have to take the shot, but
god.
I'm interested in your other stories. Tell me
Um,
about those.
the first story was basically in the housekeeping department again. I feel like that whole department was cursed. That time was just like, ugh, cannot do it. There was a conference and they had us moving
Mm-hmm.
furniture because they wanted to fit more beds in that room. So while moving these pieces of furniture, there's like heavy coffee tables and such, and it's labor
Mm-hmm.
intensive. Obviously, we were the cheap labor, so we were doing it.
Right.
And so I was holding this coffee table with this other trainee, and she sort of
Mm-hmm.
just dropped her side.
Oof.
So I couldn't hold the whole weight, and my foot was underneath because we were. She didn't give me a
Ah,
warning, and that table just fell on my foot. Every winter, that foot still
no.
aches. I had to actually get an MRI done
Ouch.
because I got a like a muscle something. I don't even remember what it was. Uh, but yeah, I had to go to the doctor a couple of times.
Oh
It hurt like
no.
a bitch. Um, yeah, so
Mm.
that's the truth. Not very nice.
Okay. And the
The
second one, they actually made you pay for that?
It wasn't me, it was another trainee with me in my same department. And
Mm-hmm.
so basically what happened is that our our restaurant used to open a little later in the day because that was like a midday kind of situation. But
Got it.
the other restaurant would need support from our restaurant, so our supervisor would send people to support them for that shift before the restaurant opened, and then they would come back to our restaurant. And
Got it.
this person, he didn't even tell the supervisor what happened. The supervisor got to know from someone else who worked in that restaurant that this has happened. So basically everyone does it. This one guy, he just had a piece of maybe like bacon or something from the buffet, and
Mm-hmm.
the manager from that restaurant saw him eating it, and because this manager had some beef with the supervisor of ours, he had the intern
Mm-hmm.
pay the full 1500 for the buffet, which
That
I mean we don't even get 8,000 a month.
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense, and that's insane that you've had or seen that experience with someone.
Yeah,
Because okay, sure, maybe he ate it from the buffet, should not have done that.
I
But I've
mean
had so
everyone
many
does it.
times when I was working at my hotel, when after the buffet was cleared, the trolley was just got to the back, and we got to eat whatever the hell we
So
wanted.
that is what had happened. The trolley had come to the back and he was eating from there.
And this happened from the back.
Correct.
Th- that's ridiculous. Before we get on with this episode, here's a very special segment that we have for you. These might be hotel horror stories. We honestly don't know what we're going to get into yet, but we're going to see it while we're editing this episode, and we're going to react to it. If only we could show you our reactions live for that as well.
We can
But
comment our
hey,
reactions.
we could. Before that, though, let's cut into them.
Hi guys, my name is Shaunak, and thank you for inviting me on your amazing podcast. Pleasure to be here, first of all. So, I've been invited here to share some ugly stories from the hotel industry, something that the people don't know, what we have seen and what we have experienced. My story goes back to the time of industrial training, which is basically a 4 month internship period that we do. I was working in housekeeping for a month. We go to the room, and the person who is supposed to supervise me, or who I am tagging along with to educate myself about everything, he tells me to go and clean the room in some corner, and he's cleaning the washrooms. While I was cleaning, I glance over and I can see him using the towels which you get, the guest towels, the face towels, and the bath towels basically. He was using those to scrub and clean the WC, the WC basically. And I froze in that moment. I was like, wait, what the hell? What is happening? I was not sure. And I just ignored it at that point. Didn't say anything. I thought it was a one off thing and he was just, I don't know, weird to do that. The next day, when you switch partners, or maybe next week, I don't even remember correctly, I was paired with another person who ended up doing the same thing, using the guest towels to clean the WC. That came as a shock to me. After that moment, I've never seen towels in hotels the same way. Everywhere I go with friends or any hotel I go to, I'm like, oh, okay, I have to share this story with you guys. But yeah, that was one thing that completely blew my mind, so to say. Apart from that, there's one small thing that I absolutely hate to this day is the use of the word buddy. If someone calls me buddy, I don't know what it is. It triggers some kind of reaction in me that it's either fear or anger or both. I have no idea. But the seniors in your hotel industry are so crude to use that word, buddy. I can't handle it. I cannot. Even if my friend calls me buddy, I say, please don't refer to me in that tone. I don't like it. So that's second small thing that the hotel industry has, I don't know, placed in me, or yeah, it has given me a scar, so to say. But yeah, those are my stories.
Hi everyone, I'm Sankarshan. What I'm going to talk about is the infamous laundry shoot at a five-star hotel. So every hotel has a laundry chute where all the dirty linen, basically the room linen from your bed sheets, pillowcases, your guest, not guest laundry, but more of the guest usables, but used in a room, fall down, are collected and thrown down to one central place in the hotel where it is collected and washed. I did not know that existed. It's only been like 2 months in my industrial training. We passed by the room. It was a small door. We only see like one or two people working there. And one infamous day, I was assigned that room, and everybody in seniors started laughing. Seniors being the permanent staff member which will work in hotel. Initially, it's not bad. Like, I mean, the linen keeps coming down. You just need to put it in the right basket. And that's when it happens, the afternoon, when the checkouts happen. And after that, there was a non-stop barrage of dirty guest linen falling constantly, and the whole room, like a 300 square feet room, fully filled with dirty linen. It smells, it reeks, and the kind of things you'd find. There's a little collection of things which they find are the most weird items to least weird. The most common items being the lighter, which comes around through the linen, and condoms are one of them, and they have cigarettes, which are pretty common. There's sometimes TV remotes which come in. There's often guest undergarments which come in, and our hotel staff is very dedicated. They do not go through it, just simply wrap up the whole linen and just throw it down the chute. So that's probably the worst job you can get in a hotel. You never want to work there, and if you want to work, it smells, it reeks, and by the end of it, you will have a dust allergy. Well, that's my story.
So that was all for this episode of Desperate Times.
We also want y'all to share your stories if y'all like, if y'all experience something similar or more horrendous. I mean, we're sorry that you had to go through all of that, but I guess the camaraderie with sharing all these traumas together is what brings us together. So comment your
Absolutely.
stories, share them with us. We're here to support you. You probably have
Mhm.
people who've gone through similar things. And in the next episode, we'll get into the good stuff because everything has a good and a bad side, I
Yep.
think.
But tune in next week again on next Thursday, and we're looking forward to seeing you again.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.